Ashe, 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 and welcome to Storytime, where I share my readings and retellings of the timeless tales of the Orisha. I am Ashley, your Orisha storyteller and guide through the rich mythology and folklore of the Orishas. It is my hope that these stories uplift you when you're feeling down, expand your perspective of the Orisha, and strengthen your Ashe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Well, today I actually got a surprise for you because this is two stories. The reason I chose to combine these stories is because I always felt like the first one was incomplete. The first story being the story of how Oshun rescues Ogun from the wilderness because he runs off into the wilderness and don't won't be bothered with nobody. And it's only Oshun who can bring him back. But that story kind of leaves on a cliffhanger and we never really get any insight into the relationship and the dynamic between the Orisha Oshun and the Orisha Ogun. So I hope you enjoy these stories. Let's get started. You can find the stories from today, of course. The versions I recommend you look would be in the textbook by Alex Cuoco, African Narratives of the Orishas, Spirits, and Other Deities. That's going to be your go to for most of the stories that I tell you because it is basically a book that is composed of so many different stories about so many different Orishas. Make sure you pick up this book. You know it's required reading at the Ashe shop. Now, let's get started. Long, long, long ago, Ogun left Ile-Ife to live in the forest. His skills as a blacksmith were missed by all the people. The Orishas, with the exception of Nanabaruku and Olokun, went into the forest to try to convince Ogun to return to Ile-Ife and start, foraging iron and helping build civilization and do what he do again. But every attempt to bring him back to Ile-Ife failed. I mean, everybody failed, baby. Anyone who tried to meet him, like anyone who tried to take him out, was met with aggression and hostility and sometimes just straight up violence, depending on who it was. The villagers were restless, like the people were restless because they did not know what could be done to restore the strength to their tools, the strength of their homes. Without Ogun, the iron was becoming weak and there was no one around to forge their iron for them. The people pleaded with the Orishas for help, and none of the Orishas could do anything because Ogun was the only one who could help. One day, the Orishas all got together and met up. They said, look, we got to get Ogun back to Ile-Ife. A young female Orisha named Oshun pops up and she says, well, um, I can do this. I can help. And all the other Orishas are like, have you lost your mind? Why did you think you could do it? Shango, like if I'm big man Shango and I couldn't do it, why you think a little woman Oshun could do it? And Oshun's like, because I have my secrets and I'm stronger than y'all think. One of the Orishas was like, Ogun was a savage when I went up in there, baby. She don't even have a chance. And somebody was like, yeah, you should know you was married to him. Another Orisha said, look, Ogun gonna take her out with one strike. Like we kind of need Oshun. We can't have her going, just putting her life at risk. And it was Orisha La, Obatala, who stepped up and was like, you're right. We do need Oshun. We do need what she have. Y'all don't know what Oshun can do because Oshun, she have her secrets. Why don't we just give her a chance? And y'all know because it was the big dog Obatala who spoke up, the other resource was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should give Oshun a chance. And that's exactly what they did, baby. Oshun said, let me show you. Sit down, relax, let me take care of business. Oshun went and got ready. She wrapped herself in 5 golden scarves, grabbed her a pot of honey, and walked into the forest. And people always got to say something because a couple of Risha saw her walking out the door and was like, "Oh yeah, she ain't even dressed properly. Yeah, she ain't gonna make it back. This the last we done seen of Oshun." Oshun looked over her shoulder and disappeared into the forest, carrying her jar of honey. As she noticed that she was getting closer to Ogun, she could smell him. She could kind of hear him. She could feel him. She began humming and playing just some magical music, with her mouth just making music, singing, dancing a little bit, moving the scarves around as she danced, making it look like, it's flowing and magical and whimsical. And Ogun, just like Oshun could see and smell and hear Ogun, Ogun could see and smell and hear Oshun. And he ain't smelled nothing like this in a minute. It smelled new. It smelled fresh. It smelled full of life. It was soft. It was tender. It was beautiful. Oshun didn't come to him forcing him to talk and trying to get him to listen and reason with him. Oshun just sang and she danced and she hummed and she put some of her honey on his lips. And Ogun he just fell right under Oshun's spell. She didn't even have to ask him to come back to civilization. He followed her out of the wilderness. When we look at the dynamic between Oshun and Ogun, we see this dynamic very present today. Oshun is love. She is beauty. She is the flow of emotions through us as we learn to balance ourselves. Ogun is at times raw hurt and pain and destruction. Ogun is the warrior. He is the man back from war who knows death, who knows pain, who knows struggle, who knows sacrifice. Ogun did not choose to leave civilization and go into the wilderness for no reason or just on a petty whim. Ogun left because he knew the truths and the hardships of the world, and he didn't want no part of it. He needed to be away from it for his sanity. It was the sweetness of the world. It was the honey, the cool flowing waters of Oshun that brought him back. In most stories, it ends right there, knowing that Oshun was Ogun's salvation. But I want to continue this today, giving you some insight into a path of Oshun who was actually married to the Orisha Ogun. Long ago in Abeokuta, Oshun and Yala, I know that name sounds familiar. Y'all better be paying attention. That's why I tell y'all do y'all research. I'm going to start it over again. Pay attention. Long ago in Abeokuta, Oshun and Yanla, a powerful warrior goddess, was married to Ogun, the Orisha of iron and all metals. They had a good relationship with each other and spent a lot of time together. Even when Ogun had to go to work, Oshun and Yanla was always there with him, going along with him. She was in the blacksmith forge. She was in there too. In the same way that his ex-wife, Oya, would help him. But as Ogun would forge irons, tools, weapons on his anvil, the iron would gradually begin to cool off. And so he would place them back over the forge fire so that Oshun Iyanla kept burning it's instantly by blowing the bellows on it. Because Oya is the Orisha of the wind. She doesn't need anything to help her make wind. But Oshun is a water Orisha. And she has to use these big fans, these big bellows to keep the fire going. And the bellows would make interesting sounds as she would use them. Sometimes you would get a poof or a huh or a whoo when she played them. And y'all know Black people, we can make music out of anything. Give me 2 pencils and an eraser. I'll give you a whole beat. And so what do you think was going on in this forge? So one day, as Ogun was forging in his workshop, Oshun in Yala was blowing the bellows. And Ogungun, an ancestor that was passing the entrance of Ogun's blacksmith forge, heard the harmonic beat and sound of the bellows and began dancing. Soon a crowd gathered outside Ogun's blacksmith forge and watched in joy as the Egungun performed his dance to the great new rhythm that was produced by Oshun and Yala's bellows. At the end of the dance, the crowd applauded and cheered the Egungun's performance and rewarded him with lots of cowries. After the crowd left, the Egungun showed his gratitude and appreciation for Oshun and Yala's great skill and cadence with the bellows by giving her half of the cowries he had earned during his dance performance. Since that day, Oshun and Yala, who was affectionately called grandmother, became Oshun and Yala, the one who plays bellows and makes a gungun dance, and Oshun and Yala, the owner of the bellows that murmur like rain and blow winds that reverberate like an elephant. In this manner, Oshun and Yala became the owner of the good cadence of Ogun's bellows. That story warms my heart because many stories that we hear about Ogun are not about him being at peace and him being in a place of prosperity and gratitude. They are so prosperous that even the Egungun dance to the noise they make as they work. Even the ancestors bless them in their time and their union together. This story reminds me to dance with the people that I love while we have them. Because we know Ogun is an Orisha of war. And when the world's at war, we don't often get much time at peace. Oshun reminds us to enjoy the sweetness of the world while we have it and when we have it. Let the music play and may you dance all day. Ashe, 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 oh. If you'd like to learn more about the Orishas or book a session with me, make sure you go on over and visit me at theasheshop.com, where you can also pick up some of your favorite spiritual bath and body products. Until next time, ashe, 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 oh.